Long before the first selfie, the ancient Greeks and Romans had a myth about someone way too obsessed with their own image. In one story, Narcissus was a handsome young man who wandered the world, looking for someone to love. After rejecting a nymph named Echo, he caught a glimpse of his own reflection in a river and fell madly in love with it. Unable to tear himself away from his image, Narcissus drowned. A flower marked the spot where he died, and we call it the Narcissus. The myth captures the essence of narcissism: excessive and sometimes harmful self-love. But it's not just a personality type you find in advice columns. It's a set of traits classified and studied by psychologists. The psychological definition of narcissism is an inflated and grandiose self-image. In a way, narcissists believe they look better, are smarter, and are more important than other people, and that they deserve special treatment. Psychologists recognize two forms of narcissism as a personality trait: grandiose narcissism and vulnerable narcissism. There's also narcissistic personality disorder, a more extreme form which we'll come back to shortly. Grandiose narcissism is the most familiar, and it's characterized by extroversion, dominance, and attention-seeking. Grandiose narcissists seek attention and power, sometimes as politicians, celebrities, or cultural leaders. Of course, not everyone who seeks these positions of power is a narcissist. Many do it for very positive reasons, like reaching their full potential or helping to improve people's lives. But narcissistic people seek power for the status and attention that come with it. Meanwhile, vulnerable narcissists can be quiet and reserved. They have a strong sense of entitlement but are easily threatened or slighted. In either case, the dark side of narcissism emerges in the long run. Narcissists often act selfishly, so narcissistic leaders may make risky or unethical decisions, and narcissistic partners may be dishonest or unfaithful. If their rosy view of themselves is challenged, they can become resentful and aggressive. It's like an illness where the sick person feels great, but the people around them suffer. Taken to the extreme, this behavior is classified as a psychological disorder called narcissistic personality disorder. It affects 1 to 2% of the population, being more common in men. It is also a diagnosis reserved for adults. Young people, especially children, can be very self-centered, but this might just be a normal part of development. The 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders from the American Psychiatric Association describes several traits associated with narcissistic personality disorder. It includes a grandiose view of oneself, problems with empathy, a sense of entitlement, and a need for admiration or attention. What makes these traits a true personality disorder is that they take over the person and cause them significant problems. Imagine that instead of caring for your partner or your children, you used them as a source of attention or admiration. Or imagine that instead of seeking constructive feedback on your performance, you told those trying to help that they were wrong. What causes narcissism? Twin studies show a strong genetic component, although we don't know which genes are involved. But environment matters too. Parents who put their kids on a pedestal can foster grandiose narcissism, and cold and controlling parents can contribute to vulnerable narcissism. Narcissism also seems to be higher in cultures that value individuality and self-promotion. In the United States, for example, narcissism as a personality trait has been on the rise since the 1970s, when the community focus of the 1960s gave way to the self-esteem movement and a rise in materialism. Social media has multiplied the opportunity for self-promotion, but it's worth noting that there's no clear evidence that social media causes narcissism. Rather, it provides an outlet for narcissists to seek status and attention. Can narcissists get better at those negative traits? Yes. Anything that promotes honest reflection on one's behavior and caring for others, like psychotherapy or practicing compassion towards others, can help. The difficulty is that it can be challenging for people with narcissistic personality disorder to keep working on self-improvement. For a narcissist, Self-reflection is difficult from an unflattering angle.